Welcome to the program that analyzes the week that was and helps position you for the week ahead. I'm Jackie DeAngelis in for Maria Bartiromo. Tax cuts looming large over the budget battle as House and Senate Republicans race to advance Trump's agenda.
I hope we can get one big, beautiful bill in the House, but we need to act on border security and national security now.
This is too important to play a game of chicken with. We need to be on the same page.
It's going to be a big, beautiful bill, and it has to be by necessity because that gives us the highest probability of success.
The Senate bill doesn't even lock in the tax cuts, which make the economy hum the last 4 years.
The Senate forging ahead this week with its two-bill approach, holding a 10-hour vote-a-rama, where they hashed out details of a $340 billion budget plan to boost border funding, energy production, and the military, kicking tax cuts down the road. Meanwhile, the House plans to take up its own competing resolution backed by President Trump next week, pushing one big, beautiful bill focusing on $4.5 trillion in tax cuts and trimming down government programs and services. Here to react to all that is Senate Budget and Finance Committee member, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, so great to have you on the program today. Thank you for being here. And can you give us the latest on where we stand right now? Competing approaches, everybody's trying to get to the same goalpost, but how will this play out?
Well, we really can't predict that. We're certainly in the Senate, I guess, a fallback position. If the House can do one big, beautiful bill, we'll take a look at it. From my standpoint, I'm focusing on spending. In 2019, we spent $4.4 trillion. Then we had COVID. We went on a massive spending spree. And Jackie, no family, if a family member got ill, would borrow $50,000 to pay for the medical bills. If that family member got well, they wouldn't keep borrowing $50,000 and continue to spend at that level, but that's exactly what we've done. So we've averaged $6.5 trillion over the last 5 years. Last year we spent $6.9 trillion, and this year we're on track to spend $7.3 trillion, about 63% higher than the $4.4 trillion. So we have to get spending down to a pre-pandemic spending level. I love the work that DOGE is doing, uncovering all the grotesque waste, fraud, and abuse. What the House is trying to do is they're putting together a very complex package of taxes. They've got all kinds of different issues in terms of what they had to do with SALT, and it's a very complicated bill, which means it's going to be very difficult to pass. What the Senate is doing is we're trying to make sure that President Trump has the resources he needs to secure the border, defend this nation. Do that first. Try and keep it as simple as possible. I'd be happy to just extend the current tax code to make sure we take a massive automatic tax increase off the table and then start working on what is far more complex. I'd like to simplify and rationalize the tax code, take a look at all the promises President Trump made in terms of no tax on tips, those types of things. That's just a far more complex package to put together. To expect to get that done in a couple of months that's asking an awful lot.
Okay, let's drill down for a moment on the Senate bill because it's going to provide more than $300 billion for border security and defense, both very important issues. President Trump this week also opening a new toolbox for border operations by labeling cartels as terrorist organization. Here is Vice President J.D. Vance at CPAC.
Our message to the drug traffickers is get the hell out of our country. We're going to go after you. We're going to wage war on you. And certainly we want you out of the United States of America.
Senator, what can we expect now that our Border Patrol is finally able to focus on national security again?
Well, first of all, we've already seen the encounters, apprehensions at the border plummet. They're down more than 90%. That's because now we have a president who actually wants to secure the border. And I do want to point out to your audience, remember how the Democrats kept saying, we need to pass a piece of legislation. We'd have been happy to strengthen the president's ability to secure the border. But, let's face it, President Trump was able to secure the border in his first term. He had the authority. President Biden used that authority to open it up. He started using it to start closing it down when it became a political liability. But now President Trump he's securing the border. But he needs the resources. We need detention beds. We need to complete the wall. We need funds to deport the criminals that they're apprehending. So he needs the resources. He needs them fast. And that's why we really can't wait for one big beautiful bill if they can't be passed quickly.
Okay, fair. I understand the urgency that you are explaining. Meantime, let's switch gears because you mentioned it before, but I want to talk about Doge. It's scoring some major legal victories after 2 district judges denied temporary restraining orders that would keep Doge from accessing federal databases, prevent these mass federal layoffs. And now spending cuts are coming to the Pentagon, too, ordering leaders at the Pentagon to cut 8% from the defense budget in each of the next 5 years. Can you talk about both aspects of that? First, this notion from the Democrats that Doge should be blocked from even being able to look, no transparency, but also the cuts happening for defense.
Well, doesn't that speak volumes when the Democrats don't even want to explore, uncover, and expose the waste, fraud, and abuse? Again, 2019, we spent $4.4 trillion. This year, we'll spend $7.3 trillion. Doge, quite honestly, they're just revealing the tip of the iceberg in terms of waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, the trick is going to be take what Doge finds and turn that into legislation. Make sure that translates into real spending reduction. Getting back to that pre-pandemic level of spending. That's not going to be all that particularly easy, particularly when you listen to what the Democrats were just wailing about during our budget. Votorama, everything was, tax cuts for the wealthy. Of course, there were no tax cuts in there whatsoever.
Right.
This is all about providing funding on the border, and we're going to cut and slash Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. I mean, it's just they're going to use the same old scare tactics that they've used for decades that have literally mortgaged our children's future.
And a comment on Doge and the Pentagon?
Listen, I think Elon Musk is the perfect person to get inside the military-industrial complex. Look at the efficiency he's brought to space launches, to the creation and the manufacture of Tesla electric vehicles. I mean, the guy is a genius. He's obviously knows how to squeeze every inefficiency out of any process. So I'd love to see him take a look at the Pentagon, the military-industrial complex. We spend almost $1 trillion on defense. My guess, a lot of that is misspent.
Okay. I want to get this in as well because the U.S. and Russia are moving ahead with peace talks without Ukraine, announcing a possible meeting between Trump and Putin by the end of the month. And this is coming after Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Russian officials in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday, receiving a message from the Kremlin claiming that American companies stand to make billions of dollars by re-entering the Russian market. Senator, how skeptical should the U.S. be of a new relationship with Russia? And is there a role for Ukraine in these peace talks?
Well, first of all, the war has to end. It's a bloody stalemate. Russia will not lose that war. You have to recognize that reality. I'm not going to like the end result of this, but if the end result would be Ukraine at peace, the slaughter ended, the destruction ended, and working toward a better relationship with Russia, that'd be a good thing. What has happened during this 3 years, this bloody stalemate, is Russia's actually ramped up their military-industrial base. Their alliance with China and North Korea and Iran has been strengthened. So strategically, the Ukrainian war has been a disaster for America. The war has to end. And listen, I'm all for improving relationship to these people that I don't want to see China or Russia, our enemies. Friendly rivals, okay. We have to move toward that direction. There is possibility of nuclear war when you start dealing with those types of conflicts. So we have to take that off the table.
Yeah, at CPAC, J.D. Vance mentioned, we're in the early stages of these conversations and negotiations. We are going to be watching this story very, very closely. Senator Ron Johnson, so appreciate your time today. Thank you.